You ever get that sudden urge to buy something you don't really need? Like when you see, like a really flashy commercial, or ever wonder, like, why that catchy jingle gets stuck in your head?
It's like it's burned in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today on this deep dive, we're cracking the code of your brain
Ooh.
with evolutionary psychology.
I like it.
Yeah.
Cracking the code.
Yeah.
Love it.
So we're going beyond like Freud and into like the realm of our ancestors.
Okay.
Figuring out how like the forces that shaped them millions of years ago are still like pulling strings in our modern minds. How does that sound?
That sounds fascinating. I mean, we're talking about how evolution, right?
Okay.
Survival of the fittest, all that jazz affects how we behave today.
That's wild.
It is wild.
And we got a stack of research here
Yeah.
from like peer-reviewed journals to marketing studies. And like, believe me, some of this stuff is seriously mind-blowing.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm ready to have my mind blown.
Yeah. So it's all about understanding the why behind our actions,
Okay.
especially as consumers.
Yeah.
Like evolutionary psychology, it helps us kind of disentangle this complex dance between our genes and our environment,
Okay.
showing how they intertwine in like the most unexpected ways.
I love that. It's such a good way to put it because it is this like complex dance and
Yeah.
it's not always clear,
No.
which one is leading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's unpack this with an example.
Okay.
We all know that craving for a donut when we smell fresh bread. Right?
Yeah.
Our brains like light up like a Christmas tree.
For sure. And there's a scientific reason for that.
Yeah.
So there was a study published in the Journal of Nutrition
Yeah.
that found that our brains are wired to release dopamine,
Okay.
the feel-good hormone,
Right.
in response to sugar and fat. Back in the Stone Age, this was crucial for survival. Finding a calorie-dense meal could be the difference between life or death.
Right. So our ancestors were on the hunt for donuts, minus the sprinkles, of course.
Right. Exactly.
But now fast food chains are on every corner, and those cravings are just like constantly triggered.
Yeah.
Speaking of primal instincts, remember that trip you took out to the coast?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That feeling of awe when we looked out at the vast ocean?
Yeah. Just breathtaking.
So it's not just a pretty view. It's an evolutionary pull.
Really? Okay.
Humans evolved in savanna landscapes, wide open spaces,
Right.
scattered trees. These environments provided safety and resources,
Made sense.
making them ideal for survival.
Smart.
So when we scope out real estate or even browse vacation rentals online,
Uh-huh.
we're drawn to similar environments without even realizing it.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I never thought about that.
yeah,
Okay.
precisely. A study published in the Journal of Environmental Psychology found that people consistently rate images of savanna-like landscapes as more beautiful and calming compared to other environments,
Interesting.
even if they've never actually been to one.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That is wild.
It's like our ancestors are whispering from the past, like beachfront property. Good choice. But this goes beyond donuts and landscapes, doesn't it?
Right.
This evolutionary lens can be applied to how we perceive other people, too.
Right. Absolutely. And this is where things get really interesting.
Ooh.
Let's take the concept of attraction, for example.
Okay.
Is it purely cultural, as we're often told?
Right.
Or is there something more primal at play?
So it's like, why do we find certain features attractive in a partner? Is it all just cultural programming?
Yeah.
Or are there like deeper evolutionary forces whispering in our ears?
Well, research suggests it's a fascinating mix of both.
Okay.
Take, for instance, a study out of the University of Texas. They found that regardless of cultural background, people tend to rate symmetrical faces as more attractive.
Symmetrical faces.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of specific.
Right.
What's the evolutionary advantage there?
So symmetry can be a subtle indicator of good genes and overall health.
Right.
Traits that would have been highly desirable in a mate back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember, we're talking about a time when even like a simple infection could be life-threatening.
Yeah.
Choosing a mate wasn't just about romance.
Right.
It was about ensuring the survival of your offspring.
Wow. So even our perception of beauty is tied to those primal instincts.
It is.
And this evolutionary perspective, it doesn't just influence who we're drawn to, but also how we navigate the world as consumers, right?
100%.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
let's go there.
Let's look at the world of marketing. Have you ever noticed how some ads just seem to tap into something primal?
Totally.
Something beyond logic or reason.
Like those car commercials
Yes.
that make you feel powerful and unstoppable, even if you're just like driving to the grocery store.
There you go. That's no accident.
Right.
A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that men shown advertisements featuring high-status products like luxury cars experienced a significant surge in testosterone.
Testosterone.
Yeah.
The hormone linked to dominance and competition.
Precisely.
Okay.
These ads are tapping into a deep-seated evolutionary drive in men to signal their status and resources.
Wow.
For our ancestors, displaying these traits could mean attracting a mate,
Right.
securing a higher position within the tribe,
All
or
right, so-
even intimidating rivals.
So even though we live in a modern world, those primal instincts are still driving our desires
Right.
and influencing our spending habits.
Right.
It's like we're all just cavemen in suits.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
And it's not just about status either.
Okay.
Evolutionary psychology also sheds light on why certain marketing tactics are particularly effective for women.
Okay, spill the tea. What are marketers whispering to our subconscious?
Let's talk about the color pink.
Okay.
It's often associated with femininity and romance. But did you know that research suggests this preference might be linked to our evolutionary past?
Wait, seriously, tell me more.
So some researchers theorize that women, as gatherers in our hunter-gatherer past,
Okay.
developed a heightened sensitivity to shades of red and pink
Okay, why?
because these colors are associated with ripe fruits and berries,
Okay.
essential sources of nutrients.
So those pink-themed marketing campaigns aren't just cute, they're tapping into a deep-seated preference that goes back thousands of years.
It's a fascinating theory.
Yeah.
And it highlights how even seemingly arbitrary preferences can have deep evolutionary roots.
Like our ancestors are saying, like, pink, good, buy it.
But remember, understanding these influences doesn't mean we're powerless against them.
So it's not about being, like, controlled by these instincts.
No.
It's more about recognizing their influence. It's
Exactly.
kind of like, hey, my brain is trying to pull a fast one here.
Yes. Awareness is key. Once we understand the why behind our desires, we can make more conscious choices.
Right, right.
We can ask ourselves, am I buying this because I actually need it? Or because some, clever marketing tactic is playing on my evolutionary buttons?
It's like having a secret weapon against impulse buys.
Right.
But this evolutionary perspective,
Yeah.
it's not just about marketing manipulation, right?
Right.
It can help us understand, like, those age-old relationship puzzles.
Yeah, totally.
Like why men and women sometimes seem to be speaking different languages.
Absolutely, yeah. And one area where this plays out is in communication styles.
Okay.
Research suggests that men are more likely to use language for conveying information,
Okay.
while women tend to use it for building social connections.
So that classic stereotype of, like, men wanting to fix things.
Yes.
While women want to just, like, I don't know, talk about their feelings.
Yeah.
There might actually be some evolutionary truth to that.
There's a compelling argument to be made. So, think about the roles our ancestors would have taken on, right?
Yeah.
Men, as hunters, they needed clear communication for, coordinating strategies, passing on vital information.
Right.
Women, on the other hand, were often the primary caregivers,
Yeah.
building strong social bonds within the group.
Makes sense.
And these roles likely shaped how each gender communicates.
Wow, that makes so much sense.
Right.
Suddenly those, like, frustrating miscommunications seem a little less mysterious.
Right.
But this idea of evolutionary psychology, it's not just about understanding the past, is it? It can also, like, offer insights into how we can live better lives today, right?
Yes, absolutely. One of the most exciting applications of this field is in the realm of personal growth. By understanding our evolutionary predispositions, we can identify areas where we might be struggling
Okay.
and find ways to, adapt to our modern environment.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah. So let's talk about social anxiety.
Okay.
For our ancestors, being ostracized from the group could mean losing access to food, shelter, protection.
Right.
It was a very real threat to survival. Today, while we're not facing those same dangers,
Right.
that primal fear of social rejection, it can still linger, leading to anxiety and insecurity.
So, like, understanding that social anxiety could be rooted in our evolutionary past.
Yeah.
That in itself can be empowering.
Absolutely.
It's not just some, personal flaw.
Right.
It's a legacy of our survival instincts.
Exactly, yeah. And by recognizing the root of these anxieties, we can start to develop strategies for managing them in a healthy way.
Okay.
We can reframe our thoughts, challenge those negative self-talk patterns and step outside of our comfort zones with a greater sense of self-compassion.
Yeah. It's like we're taking back control of our evolutionary wiring.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the human mind, what's like the one takeaway you hope listeners will hold on to?
Well, I think the biggest thing to remember is that evolutionary psychology isn't about limiting our potential or, excusing bad behavior.
Right.
It's about providing a framework for understanding ourselves and our place in the world.
Okay.
It's about recognizing the powerful forces that have shaped us, both for good and for bad, and using that knowledge to make more conscious choices, build stronger relationships, and ultimately live more fulfilling lives.
Beautifully said. So listeners, next time you find yourself craving that donut, falling for a flashy ad, or struggling to understand your partner,
Yeah.
remember, your evolutionary past is still whispering to you.
It is.
Listen closely, challenge those whispers, and use that knowledge to your advantage. Thanks for joining us on this fascinating journey into the heart of what makes us human.